Hallo und schönen guten Tag. Ich heiße Herr Mohr und ich bin der Deutschlehrer hier bei Brexville-Bellevue Heights High School. Dieses Jahr unterrichte ich Deutsch 1, 2 und Deutsch 3. Hello and good evening. My name is Jeff Moore and I'm the German teacher here at Brexville-Bellevue Heights High School. This year I'll be teaching Germans 1, 2, and 3. So it's my pleasure to be welcoming your child in the classroom starting next week. Today I have a short video for you guys that I made that will walk us through the presentation. And this is very similar to the format that your child will be using for viewing my lessons at home. In the first one here, I would like to welcome everyone here to my class and let you know that I am very passionate about the German language and about my subject. In class, we'll be using the Immersion style classroom, which means that we'll be speaking about 90% in German and reserving English only for when we're talking about grammar topics or cultural topics that are beyond our ability levels at that time. This is truly the best way to learn a language. When I was in high school, probably the same for you, we used something more like the grammar translation method, where you had to write words down 5 times each and translate from one language to the other, and then back and forth and back and forth. It's extremely dull and boring and very difficult to be successful at. I myself took Spanish for 3 years and was not very successful at it. But in high school, I was an exchange student for a year in Denmark, and then later I was an exchange student in college to Germany, and then did some postgraduate studies in Germany, and even lived and worked in Germany for a year. So I have many experiences there, and they've all taught me that the best way to learn the language is to use it, to speak it as much as possible, and to really, even if you feel uncomfortable using the language, to push through that awkwardness in order to retain the language better. If you need to contact me at any time for any concerns, my email address is morejp@bbhcsd.org. Or you can call one of these 2 numbers. The first one is for my school voicemail, which I can access from home, as well as a Google Voice that I set up that you can use to either call or text me with any questions or issues. As far as supplies go, your child should have a 3-ring binder for any of the handouts they'll be getting at school, as well as anytime we pass back tests or quizzes or anything that they've written. We'd like them to keep those things organized. I'm also asking students to have a notebook or a composition book this year, and this will be for recording any vocabulary or journal writings in. And at the end of the year, we can look back and see how the writing has progressed. I'd also ask your child to have their Google Drive neatly organized. Most students do it by grade, and then inside each grade are the subjects, and then they can organize it there under German. While we will not be using textbooks this year, there are some available. If your child would like to have a textbook at home for reviewing vocabulary or for using as a reference for the grammar topics, please just let me know and they can take it home and keep it there for the duration of the year. One of the tools that we do not want students using is Google Translate. While a lot of students naturally are drawn and migrate to this wonderful app, and there are times when it is appropriate to use Google Translate. You might have used it yourself if you've traveled internationally, if you've met somebody that doesn't know English, and you want to communicate quickly. This is a great tool. For what we are doing in this class, it's not a great tool. This tends to be a crutch and limits learning. Students often do not understand the grammar, and they make mistakes with vocabulary, mistakes with formality, and they're not using the language within their level. I am not going to give students tasks that are beyond their level of ability. So I want them using the grammar structures that we know so far. In level 1, that might just be a 3 or 4 word sentence. In German 2, we're starting to use prepositional phrases. In German 3, we're using subordinate clauses. I don't want to see those things too much earlier. just because then I am not able to measure whether my teaching has been effective and whether your child is truly learning. It just shows me that they're able to type something into Google Translate. There are ways for me to see whether a student's using Google Translate through Google Docs and history and versions, and I'd really prefer that we not be called out on that. Now, one of the tools we can use is an online dictionary, much like Leo is a good one, leo.org, or DictPoint.cc. I do have the website here for Leo that you can click on and have in your web browser, or you can go to the App Store and download it for your device at home. These here are single word translations, so students still have to know how to conjugate, they still have to know how to decline, they still have to know how to find the correct tense to use it in a sentence correctly, and that's what we would like them doing. For classwork, while there are many platforms that teachers are using, I try to limit my platforms to just these that you see before you to make your life a little bit easier. I will be using Google Classroom for most of my work, and your child will be getting presentations much like you're watching right now, where I'll explain something and they can follow along and then complete exercises. I'll also be using Progress Book, especially the virtual classroom setting there, because that has online homeworks and quizzes and assessments that I can use as formatives along the way to measure their understanding while we're not together. I also use Edpuzzle a lot, which is a video program where I embed questions into the video. So as they're watching, it'll pause and give them a brief question. They can go back and listen to that part of the video as many times as they need before clicking the correct answer. Quizlet and Gimkit are two apps that we'll use to practice vocabulary and have a little fun. That's something we can do in class, but also via Zoom. Oh, and Zoom is the last one, and I'm sure most of us are familiar with this video conferencing app. For joining Google Classroom, when you're in my presentation, you can go ahead and click on the correct period, and your child can already sign up then for Google Classroom for his or her period. If they prefer to do it later, they can just open up their Google Classroom, click Join, and then type in the join code that is listed right here. Once they're part of that, that is what they need for showing their attendance. Now, students are required to attend class every day during their assigned period. And one way that I'll be checking this is with a question of the day, or Frage des Tages, which will be something fairly easy that I'll ask the students and they can answer it, but then Google has a timestamp next to their answer, so I'll be able to see when they answer that question. And it should be done during their class period. As far as class goes, we're going to be starting with Wednesdays each week. So think of it this way, that Wednesday is the new Monday. Every Wednesday when we have our Zoom session for the day, that is where I'll talk about the previous week, introduce material for the coming week, and explain what needs to be done. Then, over the next couple days here, students are in class with me and see me face-to-face. We can work on communicative activities. We can work on talking and using language, doing things like that, socially distanced, of course, but we can still talk to each other and use the language as much as we possibly can. Students who are at home will work independently, watching YouTube videos, puzzle videos, virtual classroom, all these assignments that they can get done and be ready for the next time we meet. As far as Wednesday's Zoom, please make sure that your child is on time and dressed and appropriate. The cameras will have to be on during the session so that I can see everyone is awake and involved and see if they understand what I'm saying. The camera must be on for that purpose. Microphone should be off in the beginning, and they can turn it on throughout the lesson here when we have different activities and exercises. The motto for this year is going to be Geduld. That is patience. We are all going to be having patience here because we are all going through something new that we haven't tried before. I I want your child to be successful, and if I make mistakes here as we're going along, that's never my intention. If there is an issue at home, please let me know as soon as you can so that I can make accommodations, whether that be more time, more better explanations, or sending another link, or meeting and having a one-on-one Zoom session. I'm available for everything, but I can't always know if those are not communicated. So if we all have some patience with each other, we can get through this together and have a great 2020-2021 school year. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing everybody next week. Okay? Tschüss und auf Wiedersehen.